what does it mean for you to have been part of the video?
I mean, it honestly, like, meant the world to me because growing up, like, I just love Nike. Like, all of my friends would like Jordan and Adidas, but, I was always rocking Nike clothes and Nike shoes and all of that. And, growing up, I was always like, I want to be sponsored by Nike. I definitely want, like, a contract and all this, listing all these things I want with Nike. But to, like, be noticed for my actions, like, I was definitely speechless. Nike's personally been a platform to, bring people together and unite people as a whole. And, with like certain leaders like LeBron James, Kobe, rest in peace, and Serena Williams, and, Cristiano Ronaldo, and just all these people, like they're staple stones and they're like set leaders, and to be like almost considered as one of them, like I was super excited to be a part of it.
That's awesome to hear. So what was the filming process like?
The filming process was a lot of fun. It was honestly incredible. I met Ingrid through there. Previously, they had given me her contact, and they were like, hey, you can look her up and stuff like that. I saw a lot of things she was doing, and I was like, okay, this is going to be like a great person to platform with. It was long day. It was a long day. It was just constant shooting, and everybody was super nice, super relaxed, very heartwarming. I thought I had to come in with a certain expectation that they saw me through my audition video, but they just told me to just be myself. That's the reason they chose me. And from there, I was like, okay, and I just gave them everything I had.
That's awesome. So was it only a one-day shoot?
Yes, it was one day shoot.
Wow. And how was it like stepping on set for the first time? Was that your first like type of project, or have you done stuff like that before?
So when I was younger, I did 2 commercials when I was younger, and I did a few short films. So it definitely wasn't my first time being shot on camera, but it definitely was a first for me to be on such a huge platform that obviously internally, like, anybody would be nervous to get just shot by Nike. Like, it's an opportunity that, like, close to 0.01% of people could get.
Yeah.
And so it was definitely nerve-wracking. I could say, like, the first few, like, shots that we were doing. But over time, it was just really reassuring that, like, I'm really, like, putting on a story for, like, millions of kids.
Right, that's awesome. It was like pretty historic, and it was narrated by Serena Williams, which is pretty epic.
Yeah, that was really fun.
Did you know that it was going to be narrated by her, or was that like after when you saw the finished product?
I knew. Obviously, contracts, everything. Wasn't allowed to give information before, and still to this till right now.
Okay.
But yes, I did know that she was narrating it.
That's awesome. So that brings me to the next question, which is, what is your biggest challenge that you faced in the dance industry?
I think the biggest challenge that not only I face, but a lot of people of color, especially, face is diversity. Just a few years ago, they started making actual colored tights. Something that people of color would have to go out their way and dye their tights to actually fit into what they should look like. Many choreographers are fixated on a specific dance. They're very fixated on a specific person instead of looking beyond that and how hard they've worked. And I know a lot of people personally that I know that are of color, or not even of color, just a different ethnicity to say, and they work so hard, but they don't get the job or the spot or the role that they should have gotten.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying that the other person was bad, but to say that they worked even more.
Right.
And it's very upsetting, and it is something that we've gone a long time, just standing in the back. But I feel like it's time that we really step forward and stop sitting in the back and being so comfortable sitting behind bars or behind the lead role, and really just show everyone that we've been here. We're just finally being noticed for what we can do.
Right. So, what strides do you think the ballet or dance industry can take to be more diverse?
I think definitely looking beyond the typical dancer. I think, like I said, they can look beyond what they think ballet should have been and look at what ballet is going to be in the future. Like, ballet is not always going to be the typical dancer. There's going to be many different people. You have Misty Copeland,
Right.
who started to spread away for African American people. And then you have all these other undiscovered black artists or Mexican artists or Asian artists that are really trying to pave a way, but they're just not getting noticed because the choreographer or the director are very fixated on that one person. And that one person can only be doing it for so long.
Right.
So it's time to I think it's time that, the ballet industry really steps forward and comes out of that era of it's only this dancer and this dancer only, and really move forward to start bringing other people out.
Awesome. That's really well said. So next question. What's your favorite part about being a dancer?
I think my favorite part is, to be able to like freely express myself and, really be able to move. I'm a kid with ADHD, so obviously it's hard to just sit still as I'm trying to do right now, but obviously I keep moving around. It's obviously hard for me to sit still and focus, and with dance I'm able to move how I want to, and without any restrictions for myself. And also I started to realize over time it started giving people will come up to me and be like, oh, I love watching you dance. It really makes me appreciate it, and I feel like appreciate dance and to make people feel a certain type of emotion while I'm dancing. So that's another reason why it's one of my favorite parts.
Awesome. So that brings me to the next question. Who are some of your biggest dance inspirations?
Some of my inspirations are really just my mentors: Christopher Huggins, Lucia Sorzano, Levi Marsman. They're all colored artists that really helped me come out of the idea that I'm not gonna be what I think I'm gonna be, and really told me to just step out of my comfort zone, because I was always so internal with myself, thinking that, oh, I'm not gonna be able to get a lead role because I don't look this way. But they've really just inspired me to continue growing and made me just more confident with my dancing. And I couldn't thank them enough.
That's awesome. And you're going to be, well, you are that for some younger dancers that are growing up right now. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What was your experience at the Super Bowl like? What was that all about?
The Super Bowl, it was really, really fun, honestly. Just all the rehearsals till we finally got to the stage and rehearsed with J-Lo and Shakira. That was crazy enough. We had little moments where you could be like, hey, J-Lo, and then they'll just wave back at us, and it'd just be a huge moment for us, and it was just crazy, imagine. I met a lot of new people, made a lot of great connections, and I don't know if you know the musical artist Masego.
Yeah.
He's a saxophonist. Yes, I actually got to dab him up, and I met him.
Oh my god!
I didn't have my phone on me because we weren't allowed to take our phone. Well, we technically weren't allowed to take our phones on the field, so I followed that rule. And my dad had my phone, and my dad was outside. And by the time I froze in front of him, and I was because he was a big person.
Oh my
that
god!
The music was there for me when I was really feeling down. So to see him, and yeah, he's pretty tall. I just froze, and he's like, "Oh, you don't have to say nothing." And I was like, and then by the time he left, my dad was coming, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I could have had a picture." But yeah, it was just crazy.
That's so
cool. It was a day I'll honestly never forget.
Oh my god, it seems so cool. So switching gears to YAGP, how did you prepare for that?
Super thankful that I go to an amazing studio. One of my co-directors, Michelle Walsh, and a ballet soloist that they bring on Jason Douglas. I have many private and rehearsals with them, to get my ballet up to par. And my contemporary solo, which was choreographed by, like I said earlier, Christopher Huggins. He also helped me really get that in shape. And it was a lot of, late nights, lots of prepping my body, to really, if it's not taking Epsom salt bath, it's getting a massage or going to PT to get it worked out, just try and be like my best shape. And funny thing was, that was March 2020, so that was when COVID had just entered the United States.
Yep.
So it's actually weird because if I look back on it, nobody knew to wear a mask or anything, and actually we had gotten news that a hotel a few blocks down had an outbreak or something like that. So it was kind of fairly new. But it was crazy to realize that I actually had a competition 10 days later, and that got canceled because the cases exponentially rose. And it was probably it was honestly my last time performing in 2020. But
wow. Yeah. So you got to compete. Because I know.
Yes, I got to compete.
Okay. Some people some people were about to compete, or I think there was another one in another state that some people didn't get to compete. So I was I didn't know where you were in that, but yeah. So do you have a favorite intensive, and what is the biggest lesson that you've learned from that particular intensive?
So 2 really big intensives I went to was Alvin Ailey, and I went to Boston Ballet, and they both brought different perspectives of dance and helped me broaden my horizon of dance in general and helped me honestly grow tremendously. And they both taught me the lesson just to be confident and dance 100% always. And if you have to step out of your comfort zone, step out, because that's the only way you're gonna grow yourself, and how choreographers and artists will see that you're not limiting yourself to one thing, you're limiting yourself to anything.
That's awesome. And what advice do you have for dancers who are competing for scholarships virtually? Because now, they have NYCDA and all that went virtual for a little bit. So what was that experience like, and what are your tips?
So last summer, I did NYCDA virtually. Honestly, a huge advice that I can give is just to take advantage of anything and everything you find online, and just don't be afraid to put yourself out there. I know for myself, a few years ago, I was always very conservative to myself, and I would never want to just throw myself in the front. And being on Zoom like that wasn't such a concern for me, so I could really just dance at however I wanted to. And really just I was able to learn at my own tempo, and I didn't have to be so concerned about other people just like this, just watching me on the sides. So it was really it was easy for me, but I know for a lot of people it was very hard, because it wasn't the same type of environment that they're used to. So another thing I could say is you won't get far doing little things. So put yourself everywhere. It's going to be nervous at the first time, but as you start to do more and more, like I'm doing, you're going to get more comfortable doing it.
Awesome. Yeah, I definitely feel that. I took I did dance awards for virtually last summer.
I did that too.
Yeah. So now switching gears to your foundation, what inspired you to start Styles for Smiles?
So when I was younger, there was this young boy that came to my studio. So I took him a few times to go get a haircut, and he would always be so excited when I take him, and he was so ecstatic whenever he just got his hair like mine. And so after mentoring him, I saw just a boost in his confidence, and I initially thought a simple haircut can do this for him, but how can I do this for other people? Because I know a lot of people that necessarily need maybe just 5 seconds of attention, and and just a reason to smile again. And I know in my culture, a haircut is just the best way to feel fresh, we could say. And it was the love and attention, self-worth that just made him feel ultimately like a new person. So I wanted to help more children feel the same way. And I saw back in February how Ingrid had her own nonprofit. So I had a few months of, just deep thought, planning, and that's when I started my nonprofit back in June, July-ish. And from then I've been just constantly, what a normal CEO does, just looks over everything, trying to figure out production. Thankfully, I have two employees, which is my mom and this little girl. I dance with her mom. Thank God I have them because they help me not only let me be able to be a high school student, but also work on this on the side because I do a lot and it's hard to manage a whole lot of things between dancing in school, dancing outside of school, trying to get homework done, college applications, especially in the fall, which was very hectic, but thank God for my mom, I got all that done. And we launched not too long ago, maybe about a few weeks ago or 2 weeks ago, and just been in full effect.
That's awesome. So where can people find ways to donate, or what can they do to support the foundation?
Well, through the website, which is www.styles4smiles.org. You can find all the shirts, hoodies, hats, girls cropped hoodies, because I know that's a new thing. You can find all that, and if you necessarily don't want to purchase something, there's a donate button. You can donate any amount. Any amount is very appreciated. Personally, I can say that we raised almost $1,500 already in the past 2 weeks, which is more than I ever thought that I can raise as the first drop. And soon we will be doing major things, trying to get those haircuts in, and this is something I'm willing to continue for the rest of my life.
That's so cool. That's awesome to hear, and definitely inspiring. So you you definitely are very versatile as a dancer. You participated in Tap Fest. What did that event consist of, and how important is tap for your training?
So the Tap Festival, called the SoFlo Tap Festival, brings down many well-known, famous tap dancers. We brought down Maurice Hines. We brought down many other tap dancers. I can't think off the top of my head because there was so many. They come down. My studio, who it happens at, brings them down to South Florida, and they basically come down and teach the next generation. They want to keep tap dancing alive. It's not something that a lot of people do. So just by these little conventions, we bring up a whole lot of dancers, and they just teach, and it's really kept tap dancing a thing. And it's very important because every teacher brings something new, whether it's listening to different types of rhythm or improvising to a different type of music you typically don't listen to. Like if you typically listen to swing jazz, maybe Maurice Hines will teach you how to choreograph to offbeat, slow piano jazz. So it's so different that by learning, like I became more versatile in my tap dancing, and it's also another thing to have in my back pocket, whether I want to do Broadway or maybe do some street shows, just to have fun, and it's a great way to learn music. Actually, I found that out, that I started to become more connected with music and really been able to count music and be on time better with my other dancing. Like for jazz, I've been able to really hear inside tones and rhythms that the typical person that just does ballet wouldn't hear. So I think times that will really help me.
That's awesome. And yeah, I was gonna mention like Broadway is really big with tap, and I think also they have like West Side Story auditions, like
Yes.
down here. Did you do them?
Oh no, I didn't do the West Side Story.
Okay. I was just gonna say because like they pull it out and you're like, wait, I didn't know this was supposed to be on the resume. Like, you feel me? So you went to NYCDA Orlando. What were the differences of this year's event? What was the convention like, and like performing?
Well, this year, I can honestly say that for one of their first few conventions / competitions that they did, they honestly did a really, really, really good job of keeping everybody safe. I can tell you that masks were worn every time, everywhere. They set a block schedule, so there wasn't a mass amount of people, in one area. Like, there's always, like, dance moms that, like, stay and watch. Well, that wasn't, like, a whole huge problem because they separated not only the groups between seniors, teens, minis, juniors, but they set them in different times throughout the day so they could also clean and sanitize everything. They had daily temperature checks and health forms that you filled out every single day. And overall, I can't complain. I had an amazing time, and like the other NYCDAs I've been to, I've still been able to learn a whole lot more from my NYCDA family, and I can say that it wasn't as bad as many people would think it would be. Honestly, it just felt the same. It was just a mask over your face, and you're just going about your day.
Right. Because I was curious because I know World of Dance, they did that. They filmed with the audience, and then when it was like the finale, they had no audience. So I was wondering if you felt that like they wanted more energy. I know MDC3 was like, it felt weird not having an audience, but how was it for you?
It wasn't bad. So they had the convention side on one side of the hotel, and they had the competition on the other side. And unless it was all up to the studio. If the studio wanted to dance with masks, the studio could have to dance with masks. I know it was me and a few people from my studio, and we weren't doing big group dances. It was just I had 2 duets and 2 solos, so I didn't have to wear a mask. But I know for the audience, there was only select seating. So if the seating was full, then you can't really sit down.
Right.
And usually at the end, when they give out awards, they didn't do that. They did it live. And if you were still there, you could still stay on the side and watch. But they didn't have anybody on the stage. And throughout the competition with like the solos, groups, duets, trios, all of that, they would do so many dances. Mm-hmm. And then they would clean the floors, and then they would announce the adjudications, and then continue on, and they would keep doing that to ensure that they were just moving along, and everything was still being sanitized at the correct times. And they did a very good job, I can say.
That's awesome, because I definitely want to go to dance conventions in the future. I've been missing them, like in person. So what's your biggest piece of advice for young dancers?
Honestly, it's to be different. Growing up, I was fortunate enough to dance with two amazing guy dancers. So sometimes I would often compare myself to others. But, now I start to realize that I'm my own person. And, another huge piece of advice is that to don't listen to other people who tell you that you can't do something. I've been told my whole life that I won't make it, or I won't be good enough, or I will never get an opportunity, but I'm here, and I just made a difference to millions of people worldwide, almost soon to be a year ago, and I'm here for more.
Right, that's so cool. What are some of your future goals? I know you accomplished a pretty big one with Nike, but what are some of your future goals?
Some of my goals is to obviously continue my nonprofit organization, not locally, but actually globally. I want to be a concert dancer and then a commercial dancer, and I want to do more films, commercials, maybe even some movies and TV shows. Honestly, just take every opportunity I get.
So with that, you said you wanted to be a concert dancer. Is there a specific artist you would like to work with, or for commercial dancing, a specific job you would like to do?
No. I start to learn, especially after this past senior year, that I don't want to limit myself to just something or just one or a few companies. That I just want to just open my opportunities to anything and just keep an open mind. I tend to get a lot more when I have an open mind and learn a lot more, not only about myself but about other companies. So now I don't have a specific company because I don't want to fixate myself on thinking, oh, I'm going straight to complexions. Like I just only want to be in complexions when I could end up in Alonzo King or Body Traffic. So
That's true. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. That's all my questions. Thank you so much for joining me.